My cup's a pineapple. Your argument is invalid. Hey guys, it's Lexi. So, I've had to move rooms because working in the sunroom was actually starting to get quite dangerous. There were some things going wrong. It was just a lot of reason. I've moved rooms. So, for the time being, I will be recording in my spare room, which is a bit echoey. I'm also still a little bit sick, so if I still don't sound like myself, that is why. My nose is still a bit blocked. My ear is still a bit, ugh. It's, all in all, not that great. But, you know how it goes. So, story time. I'm going to be taking you back to the magical year of 2004, I think it was. Come back with me on this journey. It'll be fun. Now, back in 2004, I was 14 years old. But a wee child with no idea. And I got given my first phone, which was a Nokia 3310, I'm pretty sure. Now, this phone was awesome. It had battery life that could go for 3 days without dying. Granted, the only game on it worth playing was Snake, and ringtones and text messages were all monophonic, and there was no internet connection. There was a lot of downsides, but at the same time, during this time frame, social media wasn't a big thing. I don't think I even remember getting like a MySpace until I was 16 or 15, so it was about a year away from that. So it didn't really matter much. But I got this phone. I gave it to my friends, and most of my friends were female because this was around the time where the very narrow-minded belief that I also was guilty of believing in was that guys and girls could not be friends. Because it just didn't work. There'd either be some kind of attraction, or it would get complicated with feelings, or the guy would just want one thing. And you know that one thing. He wants your CD collection. But no. So most of my friends were female. There were some guys I was acquainted with, sort of. I'd talk to them in passing. But mostly female friends. And I gave my number to all of my friends when I got my phone. And I was psyched. Now the problem was I was a bit too trusting at this time in my life because my phone number somehow got out. I had a few prank calls from some of the popular kids in school. I couldn't figure out how they got my number. All of my friends, of course, denied giving my number out. Understandably, I can't point my finger at all of my friends and be like, you did this. Because that's not fair on them. It was probably one person. And looking back on it, I'm pretty sure I know which person this was. But it's not relevant to the story because neither are the people who were making the prank calls. However, getting phone calls was where the problem started. I got a phone call one night from a private number. Now, my phone's going off with its little monophonic ringtone, and I was really excited because someone was calling me, and I answered. I have no idea who this person was. It was a guy calling me, which was really confusing because, as I said, I didn't really have any guy friends. I kept my friend circle purely female because I just didn't want to deal with guys and what drama they allegedly brought, which is a very shallow-minded view on life. Gender doesn't bring drama. It's the specific person, clearly. Now, I got this phone call, and this guy on the phone greeted me by saying, "Hi, Alexi. You look really beautiful today, you know that?" Now, I was a very self-conscious 14-year-old. I didn't have a lot of friends. No one ever flirted with me. I'd had one boyfriend by this time, and that didn't end well. And I just didn't really have a lot of friends because I was weird. Like, I was the girl who listened to heavy metal, wore too much black, and liked Harry Potter way too much. I think the only thing that has really changed is I do wear colour these days. And I've managed to find friends who like that about me. But, no, this guy was complimenting me and I was flattered. Genuinely flattered because no one had ever complimented me like that before. Which is really sad. But that's how life goes. And he would start calling me relatively regularly. I'd get a phone call every 3 to 4 days from this person. And they'd be checking in on me, seeing how I was going, bringing things up that they'd seen me do, which was creepy. And anytime I tried to find out who they were, I'd ask them what their name was. And their simple answer to it every time was, "I'm your secret admirer." Which in its own right is creepy. And from this alone, I've managed to build a rule which seems to be a worldwide rule these days, which is if something sounds like it belongs in a horror movie, and it sounds like something that's going to get the character killed, don't do it. Tell a parent, tell a friend, tell a sibling, tell someone who has some level of authority in your life that can help you out. Because I didn't. I eventually asked my friends and demanded to see their phones to look at their call logs because I didn't believe them and not a single person had called me. They hadn't emptied their call log history at this point, and I'm pretty sure on the 3310s and that, Motorola's that existed in those days, you couldn't delete a singular part of your call log. You had to clear the whole thing. So I was a bit weirded out, and this guy was getting more and more aggressive as time went by. It got to the point where one day he said he could see me. And he described item by item what I was wearing, how my hair was, and what stance I was standing in. Now, my biggest downfall as a person is I am a bit sassy. I'm not going to apologize for that fact because it's fun, and if you don't have a sense of humor, that's your own problem. But I shouldn't have done much with this because my reaction to him was literally this. "Oh, so you can see me? Then what am I doing right now then, What am I doing right now?" His reaction was to tell me off and tell me that that wasn't very polite. And I shouldn't antagonize someone who held that much power over my life. Which is creepy and abusive. So, naturally, I hung up on this guy. I went inside, I locked all the doors and windows, I pulled down all the blinds, I made sure no one could see in, and I did the next best thing that I thought would help. Which was go to the kitchen and grab the meat tenderizer and sit in my bedroom, nearly in tears. Now, I used the house phone to call one of my best friends to tell her what was going on and ask her what I should do. She had some friends over, and the advice pretty much boiled down to pledge commitment to this person. Get them to meet me in real life. Tell them I love them and scare them off with that because, hey, 2004, that apparently worked. I didn't like the idea of it though, and I just tried to ignore the phone call. Until they started calling rapidly. So I would get 5 phone calls in a row if I didn't answer, and they would just keep going every hour. 5 phone calls, one straight after the other, and then they'd leave it till the next hour until I answered. And by this point, they were getting really aggressive. Obviously, I was a stupid child, and I did not tell my mother this. I actually only told her in the last few years as well, and she was not impressed with me. But no, one day the phone calls just stopped. And in comes the bit of information that I only found out after I told my mother this. And as I said, that was only in the last few years. Around this time, I made friends with the people who lived across the street. They had 2 daughters who were about 3 or 4 years older than me. And for this, we'll call them Jessica and Bridget. Now, I went over to Jessica and Bridget's house and we were hanging out one day. They came from a nice family. It was a very 70s house. Lots of brown carpet, yellow tinted stained glass. It was old-fashioned, but I didn't think much of it. The family felt kind of, only way I've ever been able to describe it is they felt like the Flanders. You know, from The Simpsons. They were very friendly. They were very much wanting to, help if they could. Just super friendly. Very quiet as well. Like, the mother of the family didn't say much at all. I think she said hello to me at one point, and that was the extent of our conversation. I tried to have conversation, but then the father interrupted, and then Bridget came in and asked me to come with her into the lounge room so we could watch a movie. Now, this one day that this all happened, I was at their place. I told my mom I was going to a friend's house, but I didn't specify, which was really stupid of me. And my mom started to freak out when I didn't come home after an hour. Like, there was 2 houses on this street where I had friends. The one directly across the road, which we'll call the Flanders, and the family that lived a bit further down the road, which we shall call the Wattles. The Wattle family was an interesting family, for sure. But Mum thought I may have gone to the Wattles. So she went down there, asked them about me. I wasn't there. She started to freak out. I had left my phone at home because it had died. Because I hadn't charged it in 4 days. Because I'm clever. But she went over to this house, like she went over to the Flanders, and she knocked on the door, and the father answered. And she asked, hey, have you seen Lexi anywhere? And the father looked at my mother, dead in the face, and said, no, I haven't seen her. I was sitting in their lounge room, watching Grease. And he told my mother I was not there. Like, literally, I was about 2 rooms over and he had just offered me a drink, which, due to the anxiety I had as a kid, I said no to. Which is actually very lucky because goodness knows what would have happened. Now, around the time that the phone calls stopped happening was around the time that the father in the Flanders got arrested for being a peeping Tom. Which made so many more things so much more creepy. Because, 1, he probably had my number from his daughter's phones. 2, he probably had plans for me that weren't very savory, to say the least, due to the fact he told my mother, talking to her straight to her face, that her daughter was not there. And 3, the argument I heard him and his wife having when I was leaving. I initially didn't think much of it because I was always brought up to live by the rule of it's not your conversation, don't listen in, don't judge, don't think anything of it, just leave it alone. It's not your place. But I overheard the wife and the husband arguing. And the wife was like, for goodness sakes, she's just a child. Leave her alone. I thought maybe Bridget or Jessica had done something and they were in trouble and he wanted to punish them harshly, but the mother was like, don't. But the more I think about it, and the fact that I tend to overthink, the more I wonder what it was he had planned, considering he was the one who offered me a drink. And the mother looked particularly uncomfortable when he offered. Ugh. Uncomfortable story is uncomfortable, guys. But there is a moral to this story. Please, for the sake of your own safety, tell your parents what is going on. Because you know what? It's better to lose your phone than it is to get into any kind of trouble that could cost you your life. Your safety is so much more important than that. And that is one thing I wish I could have told myself all those years ago, because I could have gotten myself killed. And the fact remains, I have done that a lot in my life, and you'll see this pop up in my story times as they go on. Each time, something more stupid than the last. However, I still think this is probably one of the stupider things I've done. Because, as I said, I didn't tell anyone. I could have gotten myself killed. I could have ended up going missing and no one would know what would have happened to me. I don't want that happening to any of you, so please. If something is wrong, talk to a parent, an aunt, an uncle, a family member, a person of authority, even if you just call the non-emergency police line to ask for advice on what to do with the situation. In Australia, that number is 131 444. I'll have it listed along here for you guys. I don't know what the non-emergency number for anywhere else in the world is. Sorry, but I'm pretty sure if you look it up, you will find it. So if you don't feel like you can turn to your family, at least call the non-emergency line just to get some clarification on whether or not a situation like this is happening and is creepy enough for them to be warranting you to take some kind of action. They might be able to give you some advice on what action you should take. Either way, please, just play it safe. Your life is not worth trying to seem cool. And believe me, it's better to be without a phone than it is to go through something like that and get yourself hurt. Alright, so that is my story time for this week. I will catch you in the next video. Please don't forget, I post every Wednesday and Friday. I might be starting a third video per week, which will mean I'll post Monday, Wednesday, Friday, due to a request that I've had for a set video type. And I don't want to take over too much. It's already quite chockers on this channel, to be perfectly honest. But still, keep following me, subscribe if you haven't already, like this video, and as always, in the description box, I have my Instagram name and my Twitter name. Follow me. If I can, I will try and list the names on the screen here, so that way you can look it up later. I'm not sure how to do that. I'm working with a really archaic system here, so wish me luck. But until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye!